Hey everyone, it's Jeff from Aquidneck Honey, and I'm with Lianna from Teenage Critics, and we're going to talk about Aquidneck Honey.
Thank you. Okay, so what do you do?
What do I do? Well, I do many things. One of them is I usually keep working while we talk. I hope that's all right. Um, we currently are the owner-operator of Aquidneck Honey, and it's a company that I started with actually two beehives in my backyard almost 20 years ago, and it's grown into a quite a large operation with over 1,200 hives in 3 states now.
Interesting.
So what it is, what's special, if you will, about us and what we do? There's a lot of backyard beekeepers out there, and it's a very very popular thing. You'll see a lot of publicity about keeping bees and people that have the beekeeping course and things like that, which is wonderful. It's great. Honeybees are responsible for up to 70% of our food's population in the world. That's huge. The back of my vest. No bees, no farms, no food. It's on my truck. It's everywhere. It's on your vest. It's everywhere because it is absolutely true. Without honeybees, we will have no plants. We will have no flowers. We will have no fruit trees. Without that, we have no animals to eat them. We eat plants, flowers, animals. The cycle of life will crumble. So protecting the honeybees is something that I take very passionately, very seriously. Given that of all of our hives that we have, we are 100% chemical free. Now, to a lot of people, that what do you mean? How does you do that? And I'll explain. It means this is all honey. Take a look in this box. When we harvest honey, we always leave at least a full box. Now, this is something called a medium. There's a small, a medium, and a super. This is medium. I use all mediums because that's how I've tooled. I make everything myself, and that is how I've tooled everything. This is about 90% full of honey. This is what the bees eat. Bees make honey to eat it in the winter. That's why they create it. Now, there's usually a surplus, so we can share it with them, and that's what we do. However, most beekeepers, or should I say too many to be politically correct, take all of the honey from the hives and sell it because honey is worth a lot more money than sugar. So what they'll do is they'll make up a sugar water solution and feed their bees a sugar water solution. Now, I don't know if you guys know where sugar is made, but I don't make it. I know it's not white, naturally, so it does go through quite the chemical process. I've seen it on how it's made, and it is an intense chemical process that sugar goes through. It is my belief, and the belief of many others who are far more educated than me, that the bees, when they eat that sugar water, that does transfer into their bodies, into their systems. Now keep in mind, a honeybee is about this big, and they're almost all girls. They're very fragile. When we do things to change the way they live, it affects them, and they react. And that is one small, simple reason that the honeybees have such the plight that they have. Man has been taking away from them and taken for granted that this pollination happens naturally. And of course, it's about money, selling every drop of honey and feeding the bees sugar water. Something that we will never, ever, ever do. For me, it's about the honeybee. I don't have to do this. I do this by choice. I'm a plumber by trade. This is something that I take very, very seriously. So it's about being conscientious about what you farm and how you farm it.
There are so many people that have beehives on top of city buildings. How do you feel about that?
Again, it's about being conscientious. There is a limited amount of flora supply on top of any building, as we know. I have a very close friend who is actually a model in Sweden, and she started something called Bee Urban, and it's very popular in Sweden. Of course, Sweden's economic structure is much better than any countries that there is. They have one or two hives here and there on top of different buildings that are sponsored, which is great. Logistically, for me, that would be impossible because I'll have 30 hives in one location. And they are on the ground where the floor supply is right there. Clover, dandelions, whatever is right there. On top of a building, they might have a limited flora supply, but then they still have to come down and get to their food source. So I don't know if there's enough studies about how they've survived in this, and she and I talk regularly about it. I don't think there's any information really. It's just about getting bees into the air and pollinating, which is important as well. But we have to be conscious of not harming the honeybee just to pollinate or just to have bees in our backyard.
There's been a lot of media coverage about the bees disappearing. How do you feel about that?
I feel that it is devastating to our very existence. There's a huge outcry now for people to be more chemical free, to be conscientious about how they keep bees. And it's something that we can all do very simply. You know those dandelions you see in your yard? Don't kill them. The clover, the red and the white clover, don't kill it. There's companies out there that make a living on going out and spraying your lawn or your neighbor's lawn, and their lawn grows this fast in a week. That's wonderful, but they're killing the simple infrastructure of honeybees. Those are weeds, but those are weeds that keep honeybees present.
Hey guys, this is Alissa and you're watching Teenage Critic. I'm here with Jeff. We're still at aquidneck honey, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the process of collecting the honey and how it comes from here to the jar. So, how does this process
And
work?
then to your table.
And then to your table.
We're going to do a couple things. We're going to show you how we actually harvest our honeycomb. It's something called hand-cut honeycomb, and I'm going to show you how we do that. And then we're going to talk about maybe bottling honey, how we do that. We've got Trish working in the background. We're going to talk about our honey-filled straws and also our newest product, our honey-filled chocolates.
All right, sounds great.
So let's get busy. We're going to go grab a box of honeycomb and we're going to cut a piece out.
Sounds good.
Here we go. Giddy up. Ride the bee. We're riding the bee. Julia.
You need to put some.
Hello, sweetheart.
Hello.
This is Julia. This is Alissa.
Yep.
This is Laura. This is Ethan. This is Lianna. And somebody else is in the other room. This is
Hi,
Julia.
everybody.
Hello.
Julia, what are you doing for us today?
I'm wrapping honey straws.
She's wrapping our honey straws in a little barcoded wrapper that we designed for resale at stores and grocery places and farmers markets. And this is what Julia loves to do.
So what kind of farmer markets and stores sell your products? Where can somebody get them?
Everywhere. And if it isn't where you live, ask for it by name, aquidneck honey, and they will order it. Whole Foods, all in Rhode Island. We're branching out into Massachusetts now with Whole Foods, Clements Market, health food stores, farmers markets, little mom and pop coffee shops, anywhere that they'll have us, that they appreciate a truly local chemical-free product. This is 8 frames. There's 2 frames missing out of this. Typically I do a medium again, and I'll do a 10 frame hive. The frames are the individual frames inside of it. I just want you to get an idea of what something like this weighs when it's full of honey. So I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna give it to you.
Oh boy, okay.
Oh, come on, strong girl. Ready?
Stirred, Alyssa? Are you
Ready?
stirred?
Look at me. Ready? Oh,
Is it heavy?
She's like, I'm done.
kinda
I'm done.
All right, so what happens within these combs right here that we're looking at?
This is actually, there's the way a beehive works. The first 2 boxes, these are called boxes. The first 2 down near the very bottom of the hive is where the queen lays her brood. Her brood are the eggs. Okay? Honeybees mate in the air, so no mating goes on inside the hive. A queen will mate with several drones. She will actually store their sperm in compartments in her abdomen, and the drones lose their man part in air in the queen. They fall to their death. Their whole purpose is to mate.
Wow,
That
you're
is it.
kidding.
I kid you not. Talk about a bummer of a life.
Really?
Yep. They're alive for that one chance to mate with the queen to reproduce the species, and that is it. So,
That's nuts, dude.
that's what happens in the bee world. There's only 1 queen per hive. We all knew that, right?
No. Is this a hive? Is this considered a hive, this
A
box?
hive is what stacks upwards. It could be 10 boxes.
Okay.
That is a hive. So there's only 1 queen, several drones, and everybody else is a worker bee, which are male or female.
Female.
Oh yeah, female.
Who knows for real?
You said there was a lot of females.
You said
I
they're
did.
mostly
But you didn't know until then, right?
How do you become a queen bee?
Well, I can't because I'm a guy already.
Well,
But
How does
this
it
is
be?
what happens. That's a great question. There's only 1 queen bee per hive, and the hive is all the boxes that stack upward vertically. Now, if that particular queen bee becomes wounded, or she's not laying eggs properly, or the colony recognizes something's not right, they will either terminate her or they will take queen bee, one of the eggs that the queen bee lays, and they will feed it something called royal jelly that they produce. Royal jelly is what makes a queen a queen. That's exactly how it happens. Now, I don't have one here to show you, but this is typically a frame of honey or honeycomb. The bees, this is full of honey. A typical frame where they lay brood would not look like this. It wouldn't have honey. It would have all open cells that were then capped because there were larvae in there. Okay? A queen cell, if they're hatching a queen, grows downward. Either down here or it comes out the side and grows downward. And they're much larger.
Now, how quickly does it take for an entire box to be ready to harvest?
That's a great question. That all depends on Mother Nature. There's nothing that man can do to speed that up. If it's raining outside, bees won't fly. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago, we had a summer full of rain. Full of rain. I took very little honey because I need to always leave a full box on the hive for the bees. So I took very, very little honey. So it all depends on the sun, the floral supply, rain. There's so many factors that tie into the production of honey and the growth of a honeybee hive. Again, why we need to be very conscientious about them.
All right, so do you want to talk a little bit about the bottling process, how you get the honey to the table?
Sure. After I actually extract all of my honey in a place in Massachusetts now because I had an extractor that held, I think it held 30 frames. I'm using one now that holds 100 frames, and I actually rent it. I don't want to fill this room with a huge extractor. It's a huge machine. It's a centrifuge. The frames actually sit in the extractor like this, like spokes on a wheel.
Right.
And it actually spins slowly, and the honey kind of shoots out to the sides. It drips down, and then there's a big valve on the bottom where I actually bottle it into buckets. And then from the buckets, I put the buckets into the bottling tank. Come on out so we can jump in there. And then we bottle it by hand, and I'll actually show you how we do it by hand.
All right, sounds
Actually,
good.
you're gonna do it.
Oh boy.
It's easy. This is our hot honey tank, okay? So what I do is I kind of line this up right underneath like this. This is spring loaded. You'll get a feel for it. I lined it up. I let it do this.
So that tank isn't cooking it?
It just keeps it warm.
And that doesn't take any of the nutrients out?
Nope. As long as you're under 120 degrees, it will not hurt the honey. So you try it. See, if you look at that, you see there's like a little
ice cream.
dimple there?
Yeah.
See how that fits right on there like that? Try that.
Wait,
Like ice cream was it? You worked at the
Nice
yogurt
and easy.
shop.
I did for a
Bring your
while.
hand right to the end here. You'll have more leverage. There you go.
Boo!
A little more.
A little more. We give them their money's worth.
All right, well, thanks so much for talking to us. And where can we find you online if people want to find more about your...
aquidneckhoney.com. And I appreciate questions or ideas. If people have an idea of maybe wanting to have beehives on their property, I'd be happy to come out and check out your property and see if it's something that would be a good fit for the bees. And yeah, we appreciate having you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a
you.
good one.